the positioning of this conversation, or more like some of the things that I picked up from the brief. We spoke about how we can like assist, young entrepreneurs on how to sell. It was also on how to produce, and also tips on billing. So this is really just kind of like some of the lessons that I have learned so far in my career. This is just having worked for other people and having worked on myself. So tips on selling. Selling is an art, but it can be mastered. And what that phrase is trying to land is that it is a talent, guys. It is a talent, and that just because it's a talent doesn't mean it's not something that can't be learned. Everyone can learn to sell. Granted, some people will be better than others, but this whole thing of no, I don't sell, that's not a real thing. You can learn to sell. And what's important when learning to sell as an entrepreneur is learning to sell to solve. What are you solving with the thing that you have created? Quite often, and it happens a lot, even in my space, where someone will come to pitch me an idea, and not once during the time that they asked to meet me or during their pitch have they asked me, what am I struggling with? What are my problems? It's become almost like this selfish desire to impart than to actually solve something, because that's why we create. We create to solve problems. We create to make life better. And I think a lot of times we can get so inspired and so just excited about a great idea that we forget to answer the very simple question of what are we helping to solve? And then it's like I said, it's learning to sell. There are a plethora of books, of talks, of workshops teaching people on how, on how to sell. And I think that it's really important that you really take it upon yourself to learn how to sell this. A friend of mine the other day, we had a work session together where, because our businesses have come to evolve a little bit, we also had to work on our elevator pitches. This is stuff that we sit down as young business owners and we work out together, and we'll have a session where we do it together as friends and as business owners, and then we'll pitch to each other. And we tell them 30 seconds, we have a 30-second version, a 60-second version. As you see that you're losing someone, you have to redo it. So for me, it's learning to sell is also really, really important. It's learning to master your pitches. And then it's tracking your selling. I'm actually quite astounded at how neglectful we can be. Sometimes we get so busy. Have you ever had an opportunity and it was really exciting, and then you got back to the office and then you worked on something else and you clean forgot that person from this brand said to you, yeah, this is what we're doing, you should definitely hit me up. And I make great use of apps like HubSpot and so on. When there's an opportunity, I'm able to upload what the opportunity is, what that person said to me, because I want to remember exactly what they said, and who that person was, their details and so on. And I'm able to track the opportunity, and then from seed to fruition, if we even get there. So I think it's really important learning to track your selling. So to find apps that can assist you in keeping those things. There's nothing than just forgetting to do something. It's oh my gosh, that person said there was an opportunity, and because I had these 3 other things going on, I never followed up on it. And then it's obviously improve on your selling. What in one of my other agencies, as business unit directors, one of our responsibilities was to commit to, okay, cool, this is the business units that I have. So I have these 2 clients. By the end of the year, I would have aimed to, grow for the 2 clients, 5 clients. And then you would report monthly on how that was going, but you would be tracking it as well. And what was really great was that, the business unit directors used to speak to each other on and identify where you could improve on, and you'd make notes you'd actually make the notes and be like, you know what? And it's little things like, I have brand managers who simply refuse to read presentations. They just refuse. They just want pretty pictures. and once I had worked on this this strategy document, and I thought it was fire. I was like, yo, these are nuggets in here. And literally to getting no feedback from him, and bumped into him socially, and I was like, yo, what did you think about the thing? He was like, yo, that thing was 50 pages. He was like, that thing was 50 pages. And so like, I was like, I learned him, and I learned to improve on my selling with him. I was like, yo, this person doesn't respond to, these types of decks. It's a lot of work, but that's how you build the decks. And that's why a lot of people insist on presenting versus sending decks, because that's how you can lose business as well. Like it's so subjective to what that person is feeling that day. Are they tired? But if you actually insist on like being there, it improves on the selling. So it's always trying to figure out, okay, cool, I didn't convert this lead. Why didn't I not convert this lead? And then when you get a lead that's like it, you're gonna be like, yeah, something like this happened to this person. Let me adapt my sales strategy appropriately. And then this is like my favorite. I think it's because I come from a producing background, and tips for producing, and I think really it's about loving what you do and doing what you love. And for me, I like processes. So understanding, how something gets from, how something comes in to the system and how it's delivered is really important. So I like to go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. I have a Bible for how to create Feel Good series. I have a Bible of how to get parent on Sundays. So I understand my process. And what happens is after each job, me and my production managers or coordinators will sit together and we will be like, okay, cool. What part of the process can we evolve or build on or improve? And then every time we're improving on something or making notes on the Bible or adjusting it in some way. And then again, I think I mentioned this earlier, we also complement our processes. So by using like platforms like Teamwork, so we can handle projects in a more efficient manner. And I think that's really important, like having a place where you can keep the brief, having a place where you can keep the quotes, the invoices, the purchase order, the references, and so on and so forth. And then most importantly, abiding by your processes. Sometimes we start processes only to abandon them at a later stage, and then we get burnt and we're like, God damn it, why didn't I follow my process? I told myself as part of my financial process that I would never do a job without a PO. But here I am, I've done this job, I've actually put the company money and the job has gone away, but I've spent money as the business because I simply didn't abide by my own processes. So, those are like 4 simple steps and tips on like producing, your work well. And then I think what's really important, and I'm going to go through this very briefly on the stuff that people know, but I would suggest that you quickly like scribble some of these notes because money matters. How you manage your money matters. Onboarding your clients. The financial onboarding your clients sets expectations. Like when you tell your clients, like, okay, cool, like you can't use my work before you pay. You can't do this. Blah, blah, blah. So you need to decide like what is your onboarding process for your clients so that they understand how money is going to work between the two of you. This is over and above, the terms and conditions on your quoting and your invoicing. This is just like, how are we going to handle, what is our financial relationship with each other? Then there's, what is your quoting and invoicing process? Guys, you like, for me, like when you start like getting more jobs, I think it's really important to get professional software for this, so that you're keeping a track of your jobs. Your invoicing is related to your quotes, because in the long run, as your business, as you're having to do your recons, having to do your financial management statements, these are things that just really help you administratively wise. Like it takes a load off you. So like really getting a really professional software program to help you with your quoting and invoicing. Don't quote an invoice from Excel. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. I'm telling you now. The quote numbers don't correlate with nothing. It's a disaster. Get a professional one. And then there's payment models. I think as businesses, as entrepreneurs, freelancers, consultants, whatever it is that you have identified with, know whether you want to work as retainer versus project basis versus deposits versus cash on delivery versus upfront. Sometimes, and obviously as a business, it's a combination of these things based on the type of client and the scope of work. Understand what these things are and get flexible with them. Because we all know there are some clients, you're like, yeah, this is upfront. I'm gonna need you to pay me upfront for all of this. And first 50s, retainers, understand payment models, and so that you are flexible when it comes to how you invoice. Payment terms. Your invoices need to have payment terms. And I hate to break it to people, what do people like to do? They like to add on payment terms that, when the thing is late, it'll accrue in interest. I don't even think legally you can even you can't even make them do that.
Embezzling, that's embezzling funds, right?
Yeah, you actually can't. But understand the payment terms. Make sure that they are part of your onboarding, process. They're in your quotes, they're in your invoices, so that your clients understand. And then there's costing models as a business. Ratio of 3. Please write this down and look it down. But basically, it's a really good one. Markup versus margin. Obviously, markup is when you take the cost of something and you mark it up, by 15, 50, 300% in some businesses. And then you have hours versus deliverables. And I know a lot of freelancers, this is the one that they do, where it's costing by your hours or costing by your deliverables. Billing rates, again, project versus hourly versus half and full day versus content delivery rate versus retainer. These are also really important. As businesses, we need to be in a position where we are able to, have management reports, particularly if you're a person who has investors and stakeholders. You're quarterly obligated to tell them how the company's doing. And I'm always quite stunned at when we're young, we think this is something we'll do later on. It should be something you should do from the jump. Your annual financial statements are really, really important. Also something that you will legally have to provide to SARS upon request from time to time. This is also for your stakeholders and investors. And the key thing for me is and this saved my life now during COVID. When my business started, I always had a cash flow report. So it's a forecast of the year. So what was really great was before, so it's having a really good understanding of what money is definitely coming in, what could come in, what should come in, offset with expenses, what's going out, and so on. And I remember when lockdown was announced, one of the first Zoom meetings I had was with my accountant to go through my cash flow report on we're not gonna have events for 6 months. Will I survive? And because we were a 3-year-old business that already operated like this, we weren't a hand-to-mouth business. I think for me, even as to be an events business and be comfortable not working for 6 months is only speaks to really strict financial management. So shout outs to my accountant for making sure every month I was doing that. But yeah, so those are my major tips on selling, on producing, and on billing.